It's me just running a $300,000 car. Oh dear, I'm around it there. We've all had that heart-sinking moment where we round a nut. And this was my moment right here. But then we found something.
Just out of chance, we just saw a bolt there, and I thought I'd just screw it. And it's unscrewing the bolt that Matt's just tried to drill out for the last hour.
I mean, it makes perfect sense. I mean, put all the other bolts inside the car, put one outside. Wow, 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 wow. Is that even coming out?
Oh my god.
Oh my god. I've drilled a hole in the Porsche for no reason. The most stupidest thing. Look at this loom.
That gives me a headache.
That's a mess, isn't it?
I have no idea how that looks like.
No, neither do I. We still can't get to the bottom of you. We were one step closer now. All we had to do is remove the heater matrix. And there was 2 coolant lines which were preventing us from removing it at the minute. Jack was unclipping them from the outside of the car and me and Freddie were pulling it from the inside. You can see here how the heater matrix works. And we're trying to remove the heater feed hose and the heater return hose. Then we can pull the matrix out. Oh yes. Oh my god. Oh, he said yes! It's so easy, dude. It's right there. Oh my god. Oh my god.
Look at it.
Look, it's just right.
It's just right there. So why couldn't you? So couldn't you like just move it slightly to one side or the other? I mean.
Oh my god. I want to cry.
This was a lot of work. Like an excessive amount of work.
Who did this? Who did this? Who put this there? Why? There you are, my friend. So how does it work? The power comes in here from the battery. That is transferred along that into this side, I believe. And because the fuse is broken in this area, it's not transferring the power to here, which would send it all the way directly to the starter motor.
This is insane. I've never seen anything like
I've never seen that. All of that work for this tiny fuse here. And the good news, it was actually broken. We didn't just take that out for no reason at all. You can see that here. Here we go. Oh. Oh dear. Oh dear. Oh dear.
I think you might need a line.
Oh. Oh my god. The suspension struts.
Sweet.
The only thing holding this is a brake line.
Oh, okay.
Probably not the best thing.
No?
Okay, how will I get this wheel off?
So we have a wheel tool over there.
Oh my god, it's not like a... Jeez, what is this? How much is that?
5,000.
5 grand, I'm putting that back down. Wow, and this is the locking key to get it off. This also has carbon ceramic brake discs, and I'm really hoping that there is no damage to it when we get this wheel off. Carbon brake discs have the pros and cons. The pros being they dissipate heat a lot better than steel discs. They're also a lot lighter than steel discs. And because they dissipate heat better, they also take a lot longer to wear. But all of this comes at a price. With some carbon discs, the price starts at £4,000 per disc. So I'm really hoping that there's no damage to any of mine. Right. There we go. Yes. There's a small hole. We can fix that. We can surely fix it. And the disc. Please be okay. Please be okay. No. Oh boy. Oh.
You hate to see it, you know? That's we got some. We could do that.
It seems I didn't get away with it. That small chip means I've got to replace the full disc. Okay, so this is a little worse than we first thought. Number one being the brake disc. A brake disc is definitely not going to be cheap.
Here's how millions of Americans are beating out inflation. If you make less than $50,000.
The drop link is bent. Oh my. This is a double wishbone suspension. I assume these look okay. Probably not a good idea to keep them. But the one thing that we have noticed, this front control arm right here, if you guys can see when I zoom in, has pulled away from the tub there. The whole bolt and the whole system is pulled away, and this is all cast aluminium, and that part is a structural part. And with it being structural, we have to be so careful how we repair it. It can't just be re-welded back up. It's looking like we'll have to replace the whole thing. And we already know that Porsche in the US won't sell as structural parts. And all of this is all aluminium as well. So you can see here, a lot of the stuff is riveted, it's bonded as well. So I don't know how far or how much of this front tub we're going to have to replace, but I think it's probably going to be all of it. And this is, oh, it's actually huge. I don't think we're going to get that on the plane. No.
There's a little dent right here.
Yeah, so
That's not terrible.
They've blown something there.
Looks like it's right here, that little crease came back and kicked into something. What's behind this?
The pyro fuse.
Yeah, and everything else.
This GT3 was a huge risk for me, and I bought it because I really wanted it, and I'd never get the chance to own another. But all of this came at a price. That price being $160,000. The most I've ever spent on a car. So to make this work, I've got to be so careful with the parts that I order. So the inner tie rod, just the actual ball joint, is just pulled out from the steering rack. So hopefully the steering rack's okay, and this has just pulled it out from the wheel, having the impact pulled away from the car, but we'll find out, I guess. Oh. So I've got a 992 GT3, it's been an accident, and I'm going to need some parts.
And you want the insurance, or you're going to pay for the parts out of pocket?
Out of pocket, yeah, I bought it, crashed. We were going in with low expectations, as normally to buy a lot of parts you have to be a registered repairer, but things were looking good. So surprisingly, it's actually more help than we first thought, and we're doing alright. We were actually able to buy some parts, and they even had some in stock we could take that day. But what about the structural stuff? If we needed any structural parts, we're looking like we might need the front tub.
If you need, yes, if you need a structural part, you need to probably submit
Actually repair session, yeah, okay. So it's still bad news for getting the structural parts. But one thing I wanted to find out was if there was a better way of removing that pyro fuse.
I was the one that figured it out for the tech, and it took us like 2 weeks to figure it out.
Well, that's what we was like.
Even the Porsche schematics, all the instructions and everything, it tells you it's in one part. We took out everything. They took everything apart there, not here. And I was like, hey, it's in the bottom of the dash. You're gonna have to take everything out.
That's literally what.
C unit, the whole nine, right there on the floor. It's a pain in the ass.
It looks like we managed to figure out the pyro fuse quicker than some of the Porsche techs. Maybe I am getting better at this stuff. And we've even left with some parts that we need to rebuild the GT3. Would you go through all this stress for a car that you dreamt of owning? Time to get the dashboard back so we can begin putting it back in. E3 upholstery. Let's see what Matt's got up to. I'm sure he's pulled through, I'm sure. Only the other day we dropped off the broken dashboard to Matt at E3 Upholstery, and he's just dropped me a text to say that it's ready. You never would have known.
Matt smashed it.
In literally like a day as well.
Yeah, so it was cracked. It was cracked in 2 places, but it's made to break a specific way.
Yeah.
So I just used a little bit of CA glue on each one of the parts that broke, so it'll break again, God forbid.
Yeah.
But, you know, if it does, it's not any less safe than it was.
So a huge shout out to E3 Upholstery and that amazing turnaround, which now means I can get back to the GT3 in the unit and start refitting the full interior along with that freshly trimmed dashboard. And I've also managed to get a second-hand passenger side airbag, or brand new second-hand. So now I can reassemble the dashboard along with the passenger side airbag, which leaves it just about ready to be installed. This is the final piece of the puzzle, which is stopping us from starting the Porsche after the airbags are blown, the pyro fuse. And who else but to fit it but somebody who is so well known for his hands-on mechanical ability than Tim Shree from the UK, more Inception.
I'm not sure you got that right, but I hopefully can manage to do this.
Do you know why I'm doing this as well? Because if that blows again or it doesn't start, I can completely blame it on you. Let's get this fitted into the absolute mess of a Porsche. So, right there, that is where it goes.
Hold on, I got this. That goes on there.
That's it. And then that is the starter motor cable. Yep, so that goes on to there. Two of them will go on there. And there it is.
Do you know what? This is a first. I've done a lot of cool things with cars. I've never fitted a pyro fuse to a GT3.
There we go. Woo! Tim's done it. It's history in the making. Now multiple YouTubers are helping out rebuild Adam LZ's old GT3. And the cool thing, we actually managed to save a fair bit of money on the pyro fuse. We asked Porsche how much it would cost for a new pyro fuse.
$384.
384. And that is because they won't sell this thing separately. You have to buy this full fuse box with it. But if you check the part number on this thing, it's just a Volkswagen and Audi part, which is used on loads of Volkswagen and Audis across the world. And this, well, it was $18 off eBay. It's the little savings that are going to matter when rebuilding this GT3. But now's the time I've got to rebuild this interior. Time to reassemble the fuse box, which includes that almighty pyro fuse. Then the heater matrix with the blower box can go back into place, which sort of sits in position right behind the dashboard. Then I've got to go to the front of the car and connect the aircon lines to that heater box. The aircon pipes are connected with a bolt, and then the two coolant pipes for the heater blowers, the feed and the return ones, are connected with rubber hoses. I lubricated them up a bit just so they slid on a little bit easier. Now I've just got to remember where all of this went. Here we go. Now that the heater matrix is installed, I've got this aluminium frame to go back in, which the dashboard and everything else sits on. The hardest part about this is just remembering where all the wiring loops routed around this metal frame. Because if you get one thing wrong, you may have to take it all back out again to route the wire the correct way. And to bolt this aluminium frame in, there's a couple of bolts at the front and of course that bolt on the outside, which Hannah found. Once I've bolted the aluminium frame in, I'm going to start building up the centre console, which includes the armrest and a load of trims. And a lot of these trims are carbon as well, so I've got to be extra careful not to break any because I can't even imagine how expensive they would be. Then it's in with these Alcantara knee pads, which clip to the side of the centre console. Then it's just a case of putting each trim in the correct order. And on this, I ended up having to take out some trim in order to put some trim in, because it only goes in one way. Okay, the centre console is in. The next step is the dashboard, but I think I've got all the connectors and everything in the right place now. It's just a case of building it all back up, and I just hope that I've not forgot to plug anything in. Now it's time for the dashboard and the airbags. And if I'm honest, this should be the easy part. Now a lot of you guys commented in the last video asking why I don't just ship the car back home to the UK and repair it there where it can get parts. Well, the cost of shipping, import duty, tax, and not to mention I'll have a left-hand drive US spec car in the UK just all outweighs the rebuild cost. So at the minute it makes sense for me to rebuild it here, but when it's finished, that's a whole nother story. Right, I've just called Matt over because I'm on the final pieces right now, and if you're new to the channel, if you're new to the channel, make sure you subscribe, but the old subscribers, or the OG subscribers, would know that when we fit a dashboard, we have a little game. If you have 10 bolts left over, that means you've got a, well, it's a 0 out of 10. If you've got 9 bolts left over, you have a 1 out of 10 because I find it virtually impossible to fit a dashboard, the amount of bolts that it takes, and not have any bolts left over. But I genuinely think I could have done the perfect 10 out of 10 fitment. These were the bolts for the dashboard in here. These all the same bolts, and I have how many left? 1, 2, 4 bolts left over. 2 of which are going to hold this trim in. 1's going to go there. Okay, we might have 1 left over.
That is not going to fit back here.
No. Well, we'll see in a minute. I've done it. There is. No one's going to believe me. Matt, witness it. I did actually. I've got 2 bolts left over, and I'm pretty sure there's 2 bolts at the bottom of this glove box. Yes, sir! I've smashed it. There's 2 bolts left to go in, and we'll connect the battery, and we'll confirm whether I've smashed it or not in the next clip. Oh my god, I cannot tell you how satisfying that actually is. I hope you're feeling the same satisfaction as me right now, and it's going to be even more satisfying if all the dash all lights up and everything all lights up in the correct way, not like a Christmas tree way, but the correct way. Now there's a few things that we are missing and which we couldn't get. Driver's side knee airbag and steering wheel airbag, along with as well the wiring harness for the steering wheel airbag, because when this detonated, it created so much heat that it's actually melted the connections to the airbag. So we need that, and the driver's side knee airbag. But other than that, those can go in. Also, we're missing the curtain airbags, and of course, the seat belts, which means we're not going to be able to put all this in yet, and the roll cage or anything like that. But I'm happy enough with the dashboard because I wanted to get that in as soon as possible because I've got short-term memory loss. So Jack took out the battery, so I was just about to tell him it's his responsibility to put back in. But we're just going to drop it in without putting all the tray on and everything, because you'll find out later in the video why we have to strip all of this apart. So we're just going to drop this in and see if the dashboard all lights up okay.
This is either the airbags blow. Let's see. Hold on. No, we're good.
Okay. Let there be light, and there was light.
All right, dude.
Okay, something made a noise.
Wait, hold on. There's light on both sides. Did you notice that?
What?
Look.
Yes! What the hell?
Yeah, good.
So, a new dashboard fixed the headlight.
That's what it was. It can drive now.
Science. Shall I start it?
Yeah, make sure it's not in gear.
Yeah. Okay. No seats are in. We're in neutral. Oh god, I really hope this works.
Jack, try to put your hands in your ears.
Clutch down. There we go. Okay. Yeah. So far everything's lighting up in here, which is good. I'm just gonna go for it. Yep. Oh! Yes! Yes! Hell yeah, dude. Okay. Come on. Wow. You did it. You did it, man. Yeah. Thank God. Okay, there's a lot of lights on the dash, but oh my God. Right, low beam error.
Dude. Hell yeah.
Yes, it starts with the key and not pushing it down the unit.
Oh my goodness.
The relief. Yeah.
That was almost too easy. You know? All you had to do was take the entire interior apart, and there you go.
Oh, I feel happy now. Good. I feel happy now. It started of its own accord.
Wonderful. Now you just drive it off. Just go. You're good.
Yeah. About that. The dashboard was in, but we're a long way from fixing this Porsche. Now I can throw my attention to the actual damage. So originally we thought that we might have just got away with some suspension damage on this, but turns out it's a little bit more sinister than that. We now know that this thing has damaged the front tub. So in order to kind of work out what's next, I've just got to strip all this apart so we can take a better look at it, and then we can really go from there. The front wing is completely crumpled, so I'm going to start taking that off first. And surprise, surprise, Porsche put a bolt which is impossible to get to unless you remove the bonnet hinges. So we'll come back to that in a minute. I'm just going to remove all the bolts on the inner side of the wing first, which are fairly easy to get to. Then remove the filler cap, and then me and Jack are going to remove the bonnet along with the hinges as well. And this bonnet is carbon fibre. It's around $10,000 worth of bonnet, so I'm going to be careful with it. And now that I've got the wing off, I can take the headlight out and start dismantling the front suspension, well, what's left of the front suspension. I'm not sure why we're being so careful with that front disc. There's no way we can use it again. And finally, I can lift the majority of the suspension off. Now, I wasn't expecting it to get any better, but also I wasn't expecting it to get worse, and it has, and that's why we're in our happy shirts. Even Matt's wearing a happy shirt. Matt, happy Florida shirt.
Come down here.
So, it's taken more of the frame here, so it looks like the wheels hit, and what we can see, I don't know if you can see that, Matt, it's like bulged out here, so like part of the frame is bulged out. And the door, does it catch it? Does the door catch that? No, but it's close. It looks like not only have we got to be moving on to the front tub where the bolt's pulled out, and a few of you have mentioned, why don't I just patch that up? If it was somewhere else, like this hole here, then we could, but because a bolt actually goes in here and the suspension arm sits on that, and it's a GT3 and we're going around a corner, if you want to risk that bolt being pulled out again, it's not the most ideal situation to have. But then this thing is going into the territory of unknown, really. So I'm going to have to figure out what parts build this section up, and I guess all of us as a team are going to have to build it in our happy shirts. Freddie's missing a happy shirt.
With every shirt I wear is a happy shirt.
The key to rebuilding a car like this is to stay positive. We can't let these small things get us down, as we'll never be able to rebuild it. Here's the rest of the suspension. This was the front strut, which is no longer anymore. As it looks like we're going to have to replace the whole front tub, I've got to make sure I can expose it so we can drill out all the rivets on it, which means taking off everything that's attached to the front tub, including the front cooler, all the locking mechanism for the bonnet, the arch liners, the washer bottle, the headlight, and the rad pack on that side as well. And we almost have an exposed front tub. I've just got to take off the rest of the driver's side suspension without breaking anything. And as the front subframe is also damaged, I might as well take off the front subframe with all that suspension attached to it. So I'm getting the car in the air, removing the under tray, and dismantling any parts of the suspension which is attached to the chassis of the car, including the steering rack, which I can just get to here. There's one bolt holding the steering rack to the steering column. I've just got to loosen this bolt off and I can slide the steering column out of the steering rack. Brake line's disconnected, steering rack's disconnected, there's a few coolant lines underneath. I've just left it hanging with a few bolts, so I think we're ready to go down. We now worked as a team to loosen the last few bolts on the front suspension and guide it down with the jacks.
1, 2, 3, YouTube!
Okay, the subframe is down and off, and quite clearly there's damage to this part right here. Whether this is classed as structure or not, we don't know. I don't think so, because it's a bolt-on, bolt-off part, and whether we can get this ordered just the front bit separate to the back, that would be more ideal, because I know I could probably get this from the UK, and that definitely looks like it would fit in my suitcase. So, we've got a clear vision now of where the damage is on this front tub, and you can see the sort of tunnel of where the bolt for the trailing arm goes in, and there's a clear hole there, which means we're going to have to replace all of this tub, and none of this is welded in. This is all used by bonding and rivets as well. And you can have a look inside there. There's the hole, which goes out. I don't know how we're going to get this part. We could probably ship it from the UK. We know they would sell us structural parts. Florida Porsche are definitely not going to sell us this, and they're definitely not going to sell us this A-pillar. So, plan of action. We're going to fly back to the UK now and get as many parts as possible and do some part smuggling. So if you ever wondered what 15